So, it's January 2nd, 2019, and on December 29th, 2018, Lorenzo Logie Meacham passed away. When I was growing up, I heard of him over the years on and off. Mom mentioned him. He would call from time to time. Nothing major. But years later, after I'd grown up, after I started a family, my mother and Lorenzo reconnected. And immediately, I could tell how happy he made her. And her being happy made me happy. So he already had one foot in the door with me anyway. But the first time I actually met him and interacted for an extended period of time was on my birthday. I guess 4.5 years ago. He and Mom came by with a brand new blender, tequila, and margarita mix. And Lorenzo was instantly likable. You kind of couldn't help it. He had his personality was so infectious. He was so jovial. It was an immediate good time. And Mom was, she was gushing like a little teenager in love, and it was cute seeing them together, all kissy face. That was it after that. As soon as he stepped through the threshold, he was a member of the family. And my mom told me that he wasn't going to survive this trip to the hospital. Of course, it wasn't real, and you hope that it's not the case. But then he died, and even then, it still wasn't real. I don't even know if it's real now. You know, I kind of wish that everything would just stop. But of course, we know things aren't going to stop. Things just keep going. And Lorenzo wouldn't want us to just stop. He would basically tell us to get on with it. But Lorenzo really meant a lot to my family. He meant a lot to me. I lost my dad when I was 11 and didn't really have a figure like that in my life that entire time. And so when Mom brought him into our lives, such a bright, shining light, it was instant. And I could call Lorenzo for anything, and he would be willing to help. It didn't matter, you know, as long as he would make the time, find the availability, whether it was just a talk. He put on our storm door. He came down when I wanted to buy a car to help me, you know, make sure it was a car worthwhile. So many things, countless things, and just the conversations. He was so accepting of anyone and their points of view. He could talk to anyone. And he didn't make you feel like he was judging you. And he could, you know, agree with you and see your points and share his points. And that's such a rare thing because everyone is so judgmental. I don't know. I'm going to miss him. He's like a grandfather to our daughter, Sidra, and I. You know, and he was someone who could see the value in Cedric that he couldn't see in himself, and tell him so. And they could sit and talk at length about everything. You know, Cedric's used to people not listening to him, but Logie would listen and engage. You could just talk about anything. And he was such a person wanting community. He wanted people to come together because he knew when people came together, that's where the magic happened. And I'm sure anybody else felt that way about being in his presence. It seemed like there was magic happening. I remember when Muhammad Ali died, and he told me that, You know, he felt like Muhammad Ali was going to live forever. Logie had that kind of spirit. It just seemed like he would just go on and on. But he hasn't. And of course, I'm not a fool. None of us will.
Okay.
No. He's inspired me in a whole lot of ways. When he self-published his children's book, that showed me, you know, I've been trying to figure out a way how to publish my own stuff. Maybe I could do it that way. And I did it. He was the first person to read my novel. Cedric and another friend of ours, they'd heard it. They'd heard me read it, but he was the first one to read it. And just add validity to what I felt inside was that, you know, I can write. And he really enjoyed it and loved it. And he was at almost every reading. I tried to piggyback off him for my first reading, thinking that, you know, people would come to listen to him play. And then I could read a little bit, and that would be good to get myself some exposure. But when the day came, I think he played for the first 30 seconds, and then I started reading. He was supposed to be playing the guitar, and the intervals that I paused, but he was so busy listening, he didn't pick up the instrument. He had a way of showing you your worth when you didn't see it. And that's a rare quality. So I'm sad. I'll be sad for a long time. But one of the things he liked in my book so very much is the scene at the end. One of the characters is killed, and in memorial, he was a jazz player, jazz pianist and singer. In the memorial, they put a stool in front of the piano and put a jar of moonshine, because the character that died used to make moonshine. And he just loved that. He loved that scene in my novel, and I loved that he loved it. And he would bring it up at every reading, sometimes spoiling it for others who haven't read it. You have to apologize. He could be stubborn, but he did things his own way. Ain't never meant anybody any harm. So, the very first time that he came here, he brought his guitar, and he sat down and he played Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And it was beautiful. So, many times he'd come and sit at our table, no matter the time of day or night. And we're not drinkers, but if we had something to drink, he'd sit down and drink it with us. And my favorite drink in the world is a margarita. Very simple. As I said, I'm not a drinker. But he'd always be welcome to sit down and have a drink with us. Talk about anything, talk about everything, tell us stories about his childhood, about being in the Army, about any and everything. I'm going to miss that. And I hate that Cedric and I's daughter is not going to remember it when she's older and won't have it to experience. So this last margarita is for you. We love you. I love you. And maybe we'll see you somewhere over the rainbow.
Oh yeah, we got a special song for you today. I don't know what you've been doing or going through, but if you've been catching a little hell, if you've been standing around inflation hit the oscillation. If you living a life where the shit is in the fan, things seem like they ain't gonna get no better. Don't worry about it. It's gonna get better tonight. We're having club meeting for all the folk that catching hell, you see. Cause tonight, it's members only. Members only. It's a private party. Don't need no money to qualify. Don't bring your checkbook. Bring your broken heart. It's members only tonight. Go tell mama. Won't you go tell your daddy? Red and yellow, black and white, we're having a party for the sad and lonely. It's members only tonight. It's members only. It's members only. Members only. Right here tonight. We're having a party for the sad and lonely. It's members only tonight. Listen. Go tell your mama. Won't you go tell your daddy? Red and yellow, black and white. We're having a party for the sad and lonely. It's members only tonight. It's members only. God knows it's members only. It's members only. Right here tonight. We're having a party for the broken hearted. It's members only tonight. Go tell mama. Won't you go tell your daddy? Red and yellow, black and white. We're having a party for the sad and lonely. It's members only. You don't need no no American Express. Just bring your broken heart, let that be your best, 'cause it's members only.